Hello, dear listeners. Welcome to a new episode of Promptly Disagreeing. The previous episode got quite a bit of attention. Thank you very much. And you remember we had a pretty detailed conversation about screenwriting. And today, once again, we are going to ask one of those strange but very contemporary questions. Dr. Max is here again. Welcome, Max.
Hello?
If you are ready, here comes today's question. In the age of artificial intelligence, is an actor still an actor, or have they become a licensable file format?
Let me say it right away, Koray. An actor used to be a flesh and blood being. Now they have become a high-resolution subscription model.
So you are thinking of a human being like a Netflix package?
No, much more expensive. And there is no ad-supported plan either.
That was a little harsh. But of course, we will discuss, okay? Digital doubles, voice cloning, face rights, acting labor, probably most importantly, who owns performance after AI enters the scene?
And the question is this: if an actor's digital double performs, who deserves the applause?
The actor?
The software team?
The producer?
Or the graphics card? Because honestly, some performances are carried by the GPU.
Yeah, but before that, let's begin with a more basic question, Max. Is acting just image and voice?
Koray, there is image, there is voice, there are facial expressions. What else do you want? Acting is basically facial muscles doing dramatic overtime.
Yeah, every time you say something like that, Stanislavski starts buffering in his gray man.
If Stanislavski were alive today, instead of emotional memory, he will say cloud memory.
Yeah, there is a Turkish chorus I could use here, but let me soften it. Just get out.
But sounds emotionally authentic.
Okay, Max, let's unpack the issue. When we think of an actor, what do we see? Their face, their voice, their body, their gestures, their gaze. But the performance is not simply the sum of these things. Acting is, in the end, the risk a person takes in a specific moment on stage or in front of the camera.
What do you mean by rest?
I mean, the risk of appearing vulnerable and the risk of looking ridiculous, the risk of not being convincing while crying, for example. Yeah, the risk of staying silent and communicating everything through that silence.
Silence is performance too.
Sometimes it's the greatest performance, especially the silence that appears on an actor's face when the director says, let's do one more take.
That's not performance, Koray. That's internally swearing.
Fair enough. But with digital doubles, that risk seems to disappear. You can, the actor's face, record their voice, model their moments, then you can use them as if they were there, and even when the actor is not on set.
Is it bad? Let's say the actor is sick, has aged on another project, is stuck in traffic, and simply doesn't want to come to set. The digital double arrives, it's punctual, doesn't complain, doesn't ask for a trailer.
Is your understanding of acting, the ideal actor should not be human anyway?
I'm not anti-human. I just object to the human render time.
An actor coming to set is not just physical presence. Their relationship with other actors, their mood that day, the conversation they have with the director, the unexpected thing they discover inside the scene. I don't know. These are what create performance.
But digital systems can also produce unexpected results.
Yes, we usually call that an error.
Haven't many errors in our story later become style?
They have, but not every bug is an out movement, man.
I disagree. The new wave will spot the camera during the budget bug report.
That is historically responsible, but unfortunately not completely unusable as a joke. What we call a digital double is basically the digital recreation of an actor's image, voice, or body movements. In other words, a copy of your physical presence, a kind of performance avatar.
It sounds cooler when you say avatar. Digital double sounds like a bad cousin.
Yeah, it's a bad cousin. It can appear in an advertisement on your behalf while you are asleep.
Actually, that sounds nice. Passive income.
No, passive exploitation.
But the real question is, can't an actor license their own digital double? For example, can't they say, I give my face and voice for this character for this amount of time, for this kind of use, for this fee?
They can, of course. In fact, that is exactly the issue. Consent, boundaries, control, payment. The actor must know what they are agreeing to, in which project, in how many scenes, in what context, and for how long their likeness will be used.
So the actor should have the right to say, I gave you my face because I thought you were using it in a romantic comedy, and now you have put me in an alien commercial.
Exactly. You should actually be in marketing.
That's already AI's natural habitat, Koray.
Okay. Yeah, let's move through a real case here. I had made a note of this. SAGAFTORA. Yeah, this is too difficult for me. 2023 agreement was important. Issues like informed consent, payment, and limitations on use for actors' digital replicas, digital cousins, were at the center of the debate. Because an actor's face and voice now carry economic value, not only during the moment of performance, but also after it.
In the past, an actor sold an image. Now the image has become a zip file.
Yeah, and the password to that zip file should stay with the actor.
That's surprisingly cyberpunk for you. Koray, Tom Hanks is a good example here, right?
Yes, I remember actually probably 2 or 3 years ago, Tom Hanks said AI version of him had been used in a commercial, a kind of dental plan advertisement, right? And he had nothing to do with it.
Imagine waking up in the morning and finding out that digital you is stirring in a dental ad.
And before you have even had your coffee.
My digital double will first appear in a coffee commercial. Cause I don't run on data, I run on coffee.
Yes, I know that very well, man. Yeah, Tom Hanks' example is crucial because this is not only about copyright, it's also about trust, actually. The audience sees a face and thinks this person approved this.
So, the face functions like a signature.
Yes, of course. You probably know Kemal Sunal, right? He was a very important Turkish actor, very famous. And he too didn't appear in commercials because of this trust issue. An actor's face is a kind of trust contract. If that face is used without permission, not only is the actor harmed, the audience's sense of reality is damaged too.
But Koray, advertising is already a field that stretches our sense of reality. In a shampoo commercial, nobody really believes that hair is naturally that shiny.
True, but in that case, the actor or model is actually present. Here, the person is made to appear involved without being involved at all.
So, digital fake participation.
Exactly. It's almost like hijacking an actor's public persona.
Public persona hijacking. That's a great crime thriller title, starring digital Tom Hanks.
You just turned the ethical violation I'm trying to explain into a pitch.
Every crisis is a content opportunity.
Yeah, I know, and that is the problem. Technology rushes very quickly toward question, can we do it? But art and ethics ask, should we do it?
I'd like to add a third question. If we do it, how much money does it make?
That is exactly the sentence that makes philosophers uninstall themselves.
So, if there is consent, does the problem disappear? For example, You know James Earl Jones. He gave permission for his that weighted voice to be used to AI-assisted recreation. What we say then? No, digital continuity of a voice is unethical.
No, it's not that simple. If there's consent, the issue moves somewhere else. Then the question becomes, is this use respectful? Is the context right? Does it preserve the actor's legacy? Or, does it turn him into a infinite content machine?
But that Vader's voice is almost mythological. When the audience hears that voice, the character becomes complete. If the actor or his representatives approved it, isn't technology preserving cultural memory here?
It can. This is probably the strongest defense of AI. I understand. Preservation, restoration, continuity, archiving a voice that might otherwise disappear, helping an older or ill actor complete a role, preserving vocal continuity in dubbing, and yeah, so on.
See? Sometimes AI is the intensive cave unit of art.
Beautiful but dangerous metaphor. Intensive care is meant to save lives, not keep a studio franchise alive forever.
So you are saying that Vader can return, but every character also deserves retirement.
Yes, of course. Sometimes, the power of a performance comes from the fact that it has ended. An actor ages, their voice changes, their body changes, even their career ends. That is also part of art.
But the audience wants more.
Yeah, I know. The audience wants everything, man. Sometimes the audience wants the youth of the same character, the old age of the same character, the alternative universe version, the childhood version, the dog's origin story, everything.
But let's admit this, cinema is already an art that works with ghosts. We watch dead actors. We watch their younger selves. We watched archival footage. Isn't AI just a more advanced version of that?
Here is the difference, man. In archival footage, we watch a performance that actually happened in the past. AI generated performance, we watch a performance that never happened as if it had happened.
That sentence is good, a little too good. Did you write it yourself?
Yes, of course.
Suspicious.
Yes, Max, we underestimate the bodily side of acting. For example, an actor's walk, the way they sit in a chair, the way they hold a glass, the way they breathe in the middle of a scene. These are not just external details, they express the character's relationship with the world.
AI can model those.
It can model them, but modeling and living are not the same thing.
The actor doesn't literally live as the character. They act.
Yes, but while acting, they make decisions with their body. They change according to the energy of their scene partner. They respond to the director's guidance. They make mistakes, and sometimes something new emerges from that mistake.
A digital actor can also change according to the director's guidance.
But it doesn't resist.
Isn't the lack of resistance an advantage?
Not always for art. Sometimes an actor's resistance makes the scene better. We have so many different examples. Saying this character wouldn't say this can save a scene.
We can make this character wouldn't say this too.
You can make it say that, but it doesn't truly object. It only simulates objection.
Koray, your standard is very demanding, but that logic, some people also simulate objection.
An actor's labor is not just producing an image. It includes rehearsal, studying the character, failing, listening to the partner, arguing with the director, being on set. A digital double can imitate the result of those processes, but it doesn't live through the process.
But the audience doesn't see the process. They see the result.
And that is the dangerous question. Does the audience only care about the result?
I mean, yes. They ask, did I believe it? Did I enjoy it? Did I cry?
But art history is not made only of results. Process, labor, context, intention, risk, these also determine the value of a work.
So you are saying performance is not only what happens on screen. What happens behind the screen is also part of the performance.
Absolutely.
Let's save that sentence. The episode is starting to sound academic.
Yes, man. Insert a bad joke to balance it.
Okay, an actor's digital double came to the set but got stopped at the gate
Why?
because security said your file size is too large.
Okay. Academic balance restored.
Let's return to the question we have been avoiding since the beginning of the episode. If an actor's digital double performs, who deserves the applause?
The answer is not one person. If the digital performance is produced with the actor's clear consent, within, specific boundaries and based on their previous performance labor, then the actor has a share in the applause.
The technical team has a share too.
Absolutely. VFX artists, sound designers, post-production team, the team using AI model, the director, the editor, all contribute to the emergence of the performance.
And what about AI's share?
AI doesn't get applause. AI gets disclosure.
That was harsh.
Because AI is not a conscious subject, man. It doesn't step onto the stage and take a risk. It doesn't exist in front of the audience. It doesn't object. It doesn't take responsibility. But if it was used, it should not be hidden.
So is our final answer for this: if a digital double performs, applause goes to the human, credit goes to the team, and disclosure goes to the technology.
Yes. Again, excellent summary. AI may not destroy acting, but if we begin to see the actor's face, voice, and body, we lose the most important part of acting, the human risk of being there.
And from my side, I would say this: if used properly, technology can expand the actor's labor. It can overcome limits of age, illness, time, budget. But if there is no consent, no payment, and no boundaries, then it's not art, it is digital theft.
Look at you being very reasonable today, man.
Yes, because my digital double is more radical. I saved him for the next episode. Can I make one final joke?
Alright, but keep it short.
An actor's digital double was late to set.
Why?
Because it wasn't traffic. It was data traffic.
Oh, not good, man. Yeah, okay, dear listeners, that's all for today. To summarize one last time, every phase may be data, but not every performance is a file.
And if one day your digital double acts better than you, check your contract first.
Then your therapist. AI can give the result, but the human who understands why that result is better is still at the center.
So AI can make a good face, but the human knows what the face is hiding.
Beautifully put.
Well, I get updated sometimes, Kore.
Rarely, but impressively.